I'm at a stopping point, so I figure I'd do a video of where I'm at and what I'm doing. On the first video, I talked about this donor piece being a convertible piece. There's two small differences between a convertible and a hardtop. They're very minor. It doesn't have anything to do with whether you could use a convertible as a parts car or not. The one difference is the interior kick panel has a push pin. On a convertible, that push pin goes into this bracket. On a hardtop, it's that bracket. So if you end up using this whole piece like I am, you'll have to transfer that over. So once you get that off, the bracket goes right there. There's a spot weld there and then a spot weld down there. This is just another bracket on a convertible that's welded into it. But the reason I use that whole piece is when I actually got what was left of the outside door post taken off, looking at that rust, I ended up taking a flashlight and looking through this hole. The rust right there was the first sign. And then when I looked in there, I could see there was a decent amount of rust. So I was like, I'm already in here, I might as well just do the whole thing. So ended up taking the Sawzall, cut the rocker. I added 2 guide screws so I could screw this back on exactly where it was before, and then just drill out the spot welds, drill the spot welds out along the bottom of it. And once you get the spot welds out, this comes off and you can see that it is rusted. On the bottom of the rocker, there's a couple of spot welds just past the curve on there. Those spot welds are here on the bottom, which is this whole panel piece. So those are out, that's off. But before I took this off, I did trace a line of where the actual old door post was, just so I would have a reference. I just took a black marker and traced it around, and I traced it up just as an idea of where it needs to go. On this piece, not like it really matters anymore, since I'll be using that piece, which is where the guide holes that I drilled in this piece in the beginning come into place. So now I can connect that back to this one using my guide screw holes, and the two pieces will be lined back up. I'll make aligning everything a lot easier. The second difference on a convertible is this piece that I took off, which goes back here. There is that little design, looks like a C, so CC. There was one right there, but that's where the 2 spot welds were. On a convertible, there's a bracket behind it, which is why it's spot welded. On a hardtop, there's no CC. Whether that's all hardtops or not, I would assume that a hardtop doesn't have that in there. The convertible would have it in there for support. So I didn't have the 2 marks, so I didn't drill the holes. I just took sandpaper, verified where the spot welds were. I used a spot weld cutter to cut around the 2 straight welds that the factory does. So once I got this off, you can see that there's no metal back there for it to weld. That is the piece that I'm talking about that it gets welded to. So this actually goes on like that. That's where 2 spot welds are. On a GT or a hardtop, this bracket doesn't extend all the way up. By looking in there, it looks like it's just cut even with the top of this this third bracket. So you have the outer door post skin, you have this bracket, and then you have the inside bracket where you put your triangle piece for. your door bolts. So I may end up cutting that off. I don't know. I'll play it by ear once I actually get in there. But that's the second minor difference. You could leave it if you wanted to, cut it off if you want. I don't know. I'll figure it out once I get there. But that's my temporary door post. It's welded here on the inside rocker panel. Again on the inside rocker panel, and then it's welded to the transmission tunnel. I got 2 spot welds out here on the outside, pinch weld, and then on the inside I just ran a bead for it. Since I'm going to be getting into cutting so much of this lower cowl panel, I'll probably end up cutting it along there, so there won't be anything to support this other than the firewall in the front. So instead of taking a chance of that drooping down, I end up welding another support in here, right here on the curve of it, and then I'll end up welding it to the floor where the frame rails are. Not welding it on the floor, because then by some chance the floor could distort and then it would drop it down a little bit. So I'm going to weld it to the frame rail. I know the frame rail is not going to move anywhere. And then a little bit of welding up there, that'll hold it in place. Then I won't have to worry about this corner drooping when I start cutting into it. And then going along with the fact that I'm cutting so much out, I ended up adding another support, which is welded at the top of the shock towers. There's a second layer of metal. There's a second bracket on the inside. So I wanted to keep this bar up close to the top. That'll keep this tower from wanting to lean in or lean out. So that was a secondary backup for making that strong, so nothing over here can move. So I can freely take all this out and nothing's going to move anywhere. And then I can put it back together how it was from the factory. Then all these spot welds, took all the spot welds out. Once you get up here by this opening, there's a bracket behind here, 2 spot welds, 1 on the top. Then once you take out all the other spot welds, you can pull this off. You can see mine is pretty much junk. I'll probably end up making a new one for it. There's the bracket. This inner piece is paper thin, but that's what it looks like on the inside of it. And then the second piece, the spot welds are just next to the spot welded on this frame rail, how it's spot welded down to it. Once you get that off, they're right next to it. And then it follows it up, and then you got the spot welds down here. My car is a little bit more visible. It's all going to get replaced, but at least it's easier to find it. Then I'll do it section by section. I'll get a lot of this out and replace it. I'm just using 16 gauge metal. That's pretty close, if not exactly the same as what the factory used on it. So should end up being a little bit stronger. That's as far as I got. Not too bad for a couple of hours of work. At least it's all supported, and then I kind of go from there. My next step is going to be getting that cowl panel off after I weld in that second brace in there. Then I can just keep going forward with it. That's what it looks like. It's getting there. That's it.